Today we're going to look at the doors and windows on the new Audi Coupe Quattro. What we will look at is door to body adjustment, removing and installing the inner door panel, removing and installing the window regulator, what adjustments can be performed to the window regulator, and window to body adjustments. The doors on the new Coupe Quattro feature a frameless door-window design. The windows seal directly against the body instead of a separate frame. The door-window seal is a single piece, and the locator clip is here, which is used to position the seal during installation. The window regulator is a new design with parallel window lift brackets and guide channels. This design helps assure accurate window placement and minimizes wind noise. Now first, let's take a look at the door to body adjustments. Now these can be made just as they are on an Audi 80 or 90. Threaded bushings are located here in the door hinges and can be used to move the door back and forth. Loosening these 4 bolts here will allow us to move the whole door in and out or up and down. The bolt holes are elongated to make this possible. Now once we've checked and made these adjustments, if necessary, we'll want to check to make sure that the striker pin is adjusted properly. Now if you've made adjustments to the door, you must recheck your adjustment of the window to the body. Now if this isn't correct, or if adjustments need to be made, you'll need to remove the door panel. The first thing we need to do to get the door panel off is remove this grab handle. We'll want to loosen the screw in the back of the grab handle. Now make sure the screw is completely loosened. It won't come out, it'll stay inside the handle because of the way the handle is molded. And we can loosen our 2 wedge-type fasteners. Now these are the same type as used on the Audi 100 and Audi 200. Now, once the wedge fasteners are loosened fully, we can remove the grab handle by pulling the handle straight out. And with the handle removed, we'll now want to remove our 2 brackets for the wedge fasteners. We can now disconnect our switches. We'll feed the harness through later when we remove the door panel. Now, remove the screw for the inner door release handle. You can leave the screw in with the door handle. Slide the handle forward, out. Remove the foam, the clip for the cable, and then you can disconnect the cable from the release lever. Now we can remove the Phillips head screw on the end of the door panel, and we'll be able to take the door panel off. To remove the door panel, we first want to lift it up and then out. That's so that we don't break any of the retaining clips that hold the door panel to the door. Now we'll want to pull it up and feed our wire harnesses through. Now the first thing you should do is make sure you account for all of these rubber insulators. There should be 9 of them. And you also want to realize that on the Coupe Quattro door panel, there's an extra retaining hook here in the middle when you compare it to the 80-90 door panel. Now the window regulator is attached to the door panel with 6 8mm bolts, 2 on each end on the top and 1 on each end here on the bottom. The window motor is attached to the door with 3 6mm nuts. Now before we remove the window regulator from the door assembly, we should check to see if and where any shims are used. Shims are used between the window regulator and the door to adjust the window to body clearance. Now normally you'll only find shims used here on the bottom two bolts. However, you could have a car where shims are used in the other attachment points as well. So before you remove any of the 6 bolts, make sure and check them each to see if any shims are used. Now we can remove the plastic cover for the wire harnesses. First, cut the wire ties. And once you have the plastic guide removed, we can remove the 3 nuts that hold the window motor to the door. Because once you have the last nut off, just lower the window motor by yourself so it doesn't go banging down into the glass. Now we can remove the 6 bolts here that hold the window regulator to the door. And once again, you want to check and make sure to see if there's any shims used. And if there are, make sure you note that. Now, Elta's going to give me a hand here. Okay. And there you go.
The window regulator is a new type with parallel lift brackets, one in the front and one in the rear. This design was necessary due to the door length. The lift brackets move up and down the guide channels via steel cable. The steel cable is routed around 4 pulleys, and the cables are anchored at the rear lift bracket. The cable is also secured at the front lift bracket by a Torx head screw and a locking tab. The glass is secured to the lift brackets via countersunk Torx head screw. The glass is sandwiched between 2 rubber insulators, one here and one on the back of the glass. Also, an aluminum clamping block. The clamping block has a shoulder on it to prevent from over-tightening. You'll notice that the holes in the glass are enlarged. As a last resort, you can use these enlarged holes to position the window when you're doing your window to body adjustments. Now let's go ahead and put it back together and put the regulator back in the car.
Now when you're reinstalling the window regulator, make sure you don't forget to line up the door lock rod. Slide it through the window regulator body. Get your window motor down through there. Then you can reinstall the 6 bolts. Now don't tighten the bolts all the way. Now once all our 6 bolts are installed, we can reinstall our window motor. Now reinstall the plastic guard for our wire harnesses. And don't forget to reconnect the electrical connector for the window motor. Now we can secure our wire harnesses back to this plastic guard using new tie wraps.
Next, we need to check the window to body adjustment. And how we're going to do that is first by measuring up 150 millimeters from the A-pillar trim here and adding a piece of tape. Do the same for the back of the glass, but only come in 80 millimeters. Now from the top of the glass, measure down 20 millimeters, make a mark, on both pieces. Go ahead and close the door. Now what you want to do is measure down from the door seal down to your mark. It should be 19.5 millimeters to 21 millimeters on both pieces of tape. If it isn't, move the entire regulator assembly, as Mark's doing now. Recheck your adjustment until you get the right spec. If you still can't get this adjustment, loosen your Torx head screws on your lift channel brackets, here and here. This will allow you to move the glass fore or aft or up and down until you get the correct specification. Once you do get the correct specification, go ahead and tighten all your bolts on your regulator assembly. Next, what we need to do is check the tension of the door glass against the door seal. How we're going to do that is first take some chalk on the back of the glass, make a white line. Go ahead and close the door. Reopen the door. What you're looking for is a white line or a chalk line from the top of the seal down to the bottom of the seal. If the chalk line disappears at the top of the seal, you'll need to add a shim at the bottom of the regulator somewhere down here. Now, if the line disappears at the bottom of the door seal, here, add a shim at the top bolt of your regulator assembly. Now, for further details concerning door and window adjustments, refer to Group 57 in the Repair Information System.
If the customer still complains of a wind leak and the fit between the window and the seal is okay, you can increase the pressure here by adding additional shims either at the bottom of the window regulator assembly or at the top. Additional shims can also be used in the back here if necessary. Well, that just about covers it. The important things to remember are the door-to-body adjustments are similar to that of the Audi 80 and 90 models. Adjustment bushings behind the hinge bolts move the door back and forth. Elongated bolt holes in the door hinges allow the door to be moved in or out or up and down. The door and window seal is a one-piece design. A locator clip here is used to position the seal during installation. The window regulator is secured to the door with 6 8mm bolts. Shims can be used at the 4 corner bolts to adjust the glass to body clearance. Remember to note the location of the shims before you remove the window regulator. The window regulator assembly can be moved side to side or up and down in the door shell. This will allow you to position the window within the window opening. Use tape on the glass to properly position the glass to the window opening. Use a chalk line at the B-pillar to check the tension of the glass against the door seal. These procedures will help ensure that the car is fixed right the first time and the customer is satisfied.